I never thought I'd be that guy, the one who gets completely blindsided by someone he trusted. My name's Jake, and I'd been with Emily for about 3 years. We were planning to get married, had the whole future mapped out, house, kids, the works. I honestly thought we were solid, that she was the one. She seemed perfect at first, smart, beautiful, ambitious. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing little things. She was more distant, secretive even. She'd take her phone everywhere, spent more time on social media than usual, and whenever I asked about her day, she'd give me these vague, noncommittal answers. It was during her engagement party, though, that I first started sensing trouble. The party was supposed to be a celebration, friends, family, good food. I was on cloud nine, proud of the life we were building. But in the back of my mind, I kept seeing Emily whispering to her best friend, Sarah. I remember catching a few quick glances they shot at each other, and it just felt off. I shrugged it off, though. Maybe they were just gossiping or planning something. It wasn't until the morning after that everything fell apart. That morning I woke up feeling oddly restless. I went to check on Emily like I always did, but she was gone from bed. Her side of the bed was cold, and there was a strange scent in the air, something sharp and bitter. I found her phone on the bedside table, unlocked, which was odd because she's usually very protective of her things. The lock screen was a picture of her and Sarah, laughing at some event. I hesitated, then unlocked it to see her messages. There in black and white was a series of texts that made my stomach turn. Flirty, suggestive messages, all from Sarah, about how they couldn't keep their hands off each other, how they planned to meet up again soon. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. My mind was racing. How long has this been going on? Was I just blind? How could I have missed all the signs? I kept thinking about that night, the way Emily had been acting, her strange mood swings, her little lies about where she'd been. All of it suddenly made sense. They'd been cheating on me, right under my nose during the most important time of our lives. And the worst part, I had no idea. I was supposed to marry her in a month, and now I couldn't even look at her without feeling sick. The betrayal cut so deep I didn't know if I'd ever recover from it. After I saw those messages, everything else just blurred out. I sat there in shock, holding her phone like it was some kind of poison. My head was spinning. My mind kept replaying all the moments I'd missed, all the times she'd been distant or defensive. I knew deep down that I'd been blind, but seeing those texts confirmed it. Emily had been cheating on me right from the start. Not just a one-time thing, but an ongoing affair with Sarah. The betrayal was so raw, so real, I could barely breathe. I remember feeling this storm of rage and sadness. How could she do this? How could she sit there and lie to my face, pretend everything was fine? I kept thinking about that engagement party, how perfect it all looked from the outside. But behind the scenes, she was sneaking around, lying to me, making a fool out of us. I wanted to confront her right then, to yell, to cry, to break something. But I knew better. If I did that, I'd just blow up everything without thinking. Instead, I took a deep breath and decided I needed to get some space, some clarity. I went to the living room, grabbed my phone, and called my best friend, Mark. I needed someone I could trust, someone who knew Emily and our history. When he picked up, I just blurted it out. "Mark, Emily is cheating on me." I found her messages to Sarah. They've been messing around since I don't even know when. There was silence on the line, then Mark cursed under his breath. He knew Emily well enough. He'd seen her act manipulative and bitchy when she was upset, but this was a whole new level. I felt a mix of everything: anger, heartbreak, betrayal, and a kind of numbness I'd never experienced before. I kept asking myself how I hadn't seen it earlier, how I'd been so blind or naive. I had trusted her with my life, my future, and she'd been lying to me for months. The worst part, she'd been so convincing. So convincing that I'd almost convinced myself that maybe I was overreacting. But now it was crystal clear. Emily was a fraud, a manipulative, lying bitch who thought she could get away with it forever. After the call, I just sat there staring at the wall, trying to process what I'd just uncovered. I knew I couldn't keep pretending like everything was normal anymore. I had to confront her. But I also knew the kind of person she was: bitchy, cunning, and not above twisting the truth to her favor. I felt a sinking weight in my chest, realizing how much my trust had been shattered, how the image I had of us, the life I'd been planning, was crumbling right in front of my eyes. All I could think about now was what to do next, how to deal with the aftermath of this betrayal that cut so deep I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't wait any longer. I knew I had to see her face to face and hear her lie her way out of this mess. I told Mark I'd handle it, that I needed to see her, needed answers, whether she wanted to give them or not. I drove straight to our apartment, my hands trembling, my stomach twisting into knots. When I got there, Emily was in the kitchen, her back to me, pouring herself a glass of wine. She looked so dismissive, like she didn't have a care in the world. That made me angrier. I stood in the doorway for a minute just watching her. She finally turned around when she saw me. That smirk she had, the way she looked so smug, that's what broke the last shred of my patience. I felt my voice tighten as I asked her, "Who is Sarah? How long has this been going on?" She blinked, then rolled her eyes like I was some clueless idiot. "Oh, come on, Jake, you're overreacting. It's not what you think. It was just sex, okay? It didn't mean anything. Sarah's just a friend. She's just been there when I've needed someone to talk to. You know how bitchy I get sometimes, and she's just comforting me." She sneered, crossing her arms. "You're just jealous because I don't get what I want from you anymore. I don't see what the big deal is." Her words hit like a slap. I could see right through her bullshit, the way she twisted things, as if I was the crazy one for being hurt. But I wasn't buying it, not for a second. I told her I'd seen the messages, her lies, her betrayal, that I couldn't just pretend like everything was fine anymore. Her face twisted into this angry, bitchy glare, and she shot back, "You're acting like a damn fool, Jake. I'm tired of your accusations. If you think I'm some kind of whore or cheat, maybe you're the one who's insecure." I felt my chest tighten. How could she be so callous, so dismissive of what she'd done? I was furious, my blood boiling, my mind racing. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her admit the truth. But I just stood there, stunned, watching her lie so effortlessly. It was like she was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself. That's when I realized there was no point in arguing anymore. She would keep spinning her web of lies, and I'd be the one left holding the pieces of my shattered trust. I turned around, told her I needed some time to think, and left. Walking out the door, I felt like I was suffocating. My heart was pounding, and all I could see was her sneering face, the way she thought she was so clever, so untouchable. That moment, I knew I had to get out, had to figure out what I was going to do next. Because if this was her idea of love, I didn't want any part of it. I just wanted to run, to escape from the betrayal and that bitchy look she gave me, like I was the one in the wrong. I spent the rest of that night staring at my phone, debating whether I should call her again or just block her and walk away forever. But deep down, I knew I needed to confront everything, face the truth head on. That's when I realized I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make her regret what she'd done. I didn't know how yet, but I knew I had to find a way to get some kind of revenge, even if it was just making her see what she lost. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I looked at her phone, her pictures, her texts, I felt this burning need to do something, anything, to make her pay for what she'd done. I kept going over everything in my mind, trying to find some way to get even, to make her understand the pain she'd caused. But I also knew I had to be smart about it. I didn't want to just lash out blindly and destroy everything. I needed a plan. I started digging. I knew Emily had a habit of leaving little crumbs behind, things she thought she could hide but were obvious to me now. I found some receipts she'd forgotten to hide, showing she'd been out late with Sarah more times than I could count. I found her emails, her social media messages that she thought she'd deleted, but I'd learned how to recover stuff. The more I uncovered, the angrier I got. She'd been sneaky, manipulative, playing the innocent victim while she was out screwing around. I also reached out to Sarah, her other lover, just to hear her side. She was arrogant, dismissive, like she didn't care at all. She even tried to justify it, said Emily was bitchy and hard to deal with. So they just connected on a different level. I wanted to scream at her, but I kept my cool. My goal was to gather everything, to use her own words against her. I wasn't just going to confront Emily again. I was building a case, a scrapbook of her lies, her betrayal. Meanwhile, Emily kept playing her game, acting like I was overreacting, throwing tantrums, accusing me of ruining everything. She told everyone I was just jealous, insecure, or that I was losing it because I couldn't handle her. But I saw through her act. I knew her. She was good at lying, good at twisting the truth. That's what made me the angriest. She thought she could get away with it like she was some master manipulator. I hated her, but I also hated how she thought she could keep deceiving me. One night, I decided I had enough of her bullshit. I sat her down, told her I'd found everything, that I knew she'd been screwing around. Hell, I even had proof of her sneaking out, sneaking in, and her texts to Sarah where she called her the only one who understands her. Her face turned red, her bitchy smirk gone, replaced by this wide-eyed look of disbelief. She tried to deny everything, but I just looked at her. I told her I was done playing her games, that I wasn't going to be her fool anymore, not after all the lies. That's when she exploded, shouting, crying, calling me crazy and possessive. She said I was just paranoid, that I didn't trust her, that I was destroying what we had. She even had the audacity to say she loved me, but she just needed something more. I looked at her, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. How could she be so heartless, so bitchy? I realized then that I was done with her lies. I needed to think about what I wanted, what I deserved. I told her I was leaving for a while to clear my head, but I knew I wasn't coming back. Not to her, not to that toxic, manipulative person who had taken everything from me. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, feeling hollow but also determined. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I'd take what I had, gather everything, and figure out my next move. I knew I needed to be careful, because Emily was the kind of person who'd spin stories, who'd try to make me look like the bad guy. But I also knew that, deep down, she was a bitchy liar who thought she was untouchable. And I was finally ready to make her regret what she'd done. The following days were the hardest of my life. I kept replaying everything in my head. The betrayal, her lies, that smug look she always had when she thought she was getting away with something. I knew I couldn't just let this slide, not without making her feel some of the pain she'd caused me. I started planning my next move carefully, knowing that Emily was manipulative and would try to turn everything around on me if she sensed I was gaining ground. I decided I needed to hit her where it hurt, her reputation. Not just in a petty way, but in a way that she'd never recover from if I played it right. I contacted someone I knew who was good with social media, someone who could help me leak her secrets discreetly. I didn't want to expose everything publicly at first. I just wanted her to feel the sting, to see her carefully crafted image start to crumble. I was meticulous, gathering every piece of dirt I could find, screenshots, messages, even some of her more revealing photos she'd thought were hidden. Meanwhile, Emily was still acting like nothing had happened. She kept up her bitchy attitude, acting like she was the victim, throwing tantrums, trying to manipulate everyone around her. She told her friends I was crazy, that I'd lost my mind. But I knew better. I knew her game. I'd seen her bitchy side enough times to recognize the lies, the fake tears, the "I love you, but I need my freedom" bullshit she kept spouting. She thought she could get away with it all, but I was done playing her fool. One night, I decided to confront her directly, but with a twist. I invited her over, pretending to want to talk, but really I wanted her to see what I'd uncovered. I laid everything out on my laptop, screenshots, texts, photos, and watched her face turn pale as she realized I was one step ahead. Her bitchy, dismissive attitude crumbled for a moment, replaced with this nervous, angry glare. She tried to deny everything, but I had her dead to rights. I told her I was tired of her lies, tired of her pretending to be the victim, tired of her sneaking around behind my back. That's when she snapped. She started crying, calling me crazy, saying I was ruining everything. She begged me to forget it, to just let her go, but I'd had enough. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "You're a bitch, Emily. You thought you could lie to me forever, cheat on me, and I'd never find out. Well, I did, and I'm done. I want out, and I want everyone to know what kind of person you really are." Her face twisted in rage, but I knew I had struck a nerve. This was the beginning of her fall. That night I made the decision. I was going to expose her, not just to her friends or family, but to the whole world if I had to. I wanted her to feel what it was like to be betrayed, to be humiliated. I'd been hurt enough, but I also knew she'd never stop if I didn't put an end to her manipulations. I started leaking her secrets slowly, posting snippets online, sending messages to some of her close friends, making sure everyone knew who she really was. A bitchy, lying, manipulative cheat. It was a slow burn, but it was working. I could see her losing control, her bitchy mask slipping as her carefully curated image was falling apart. By the end of that night, Emily was in full meltdown mode. She called me, screaming, crying, threatening, but I just blocked her number. I felt this strange mixture of relief and emptiness. I'd done what I set out to do: expose her, hurt her back, make her see that she couldn't get away with her bullshit anymore. I knew it wouldn't fix everything overnight, but at least I'd taken some control back. And that was the only thing that kept me going, knowing I'd finally fought back against her bitchy manipulations, and I was ready to rebuild my life without her. In the days that followed, the fallout was exactly what I expected: complete chaos. Emily's reputation was in shambles. Friends who once stood by her started questioning her motives, and her family was divided on whether she was truly remorseful or just trying to save what she could. She tried to spin her story, calling me crazy again, claiming I hacked her social media and fabricated everything. But I had enough evidence to drown out her lies. Every time I saw her bitchy smirk or that dismissive attitude, I felt a surge of satisfaction. I knew I had won in a way she never saw coming. I finally felt like I was the one in control again, even if it still hurt like hell. I realized this was a wake-up call. Trust, once broken, can't be fixed with empty apologies or tears. It's gone. And all the lies, all the manipulations, they were like scars I would carry forever. Looking back, I see how blindly I trusted her. I see how her bitchy, manipulative side buried itself behind that perfect facade. But I also see how I took control of the situation, how I refused to let her destroy me completely. I learned to stand up for myself, to recognize the signs of a toxic relationship, and most importantly, to see when someone is just using you for their own selfish gains. I moved out, found a place nearby, and started slowly rebuilding my life. The pain hasn't fully gone, and I doubt it ever will entirely, but I've learned to live with it. More than anything, I've learned that sometimes love isn't enough to keep two people together. Trust is everything. And if that trust is shattered, it's better to walk away than to keep pretending everything's okay. Now, I look at my future differently. I don't trust easily anymore, and I don't take bullshit from anyone. I know what I deserve, and I'm not going to settle for some bitchy, manipulative person who thinks they can screw around and lie their way through life. That betrayal taught me a hard lesson. Don't ignore the signs, don't trust blindly, and always keep your eyes open. Because in the end, the only person who truly has your back is yourself. And if someone proves they don't, if they're a bitchy, manipulative liar, then walking away is the only real choice. That's the end of my story. I hope it helps someone out there. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. But you can always choose to walk away and start fresh.